Let's take a look at some overnight line movers in Major League Baseball. SBRodds.com, the single best place on the internet to get all of these line movements. How about this one, Teddy? After back-to-back solid starts, Yu Darvish heads to Coors, and the line is moving in his direction. The Cubs currently sit at plus 116, down from plus 125. As we said, the total is 11, obviously that being at Coors Field. Marquez no slouch either, but Darvish coming in with those hot Cubs bats should be a good one here tonight.
Yeah, and of course, the money coming in on the underdog Cubs, in part because Marquez got lit up by this Cubs lineup just last week. I mean, it was pretty ugly. Allowed a career high tying 8 runs in that ball game in just 5 1/3. His career track record against the Chicago Cubs is now, 6.86 ERA. His post-game quote, "My mechanics were a little quick. I fell to first base. That's why pitches got hit." So the market's concerned that may carry over for Marquez. Meanwhile, Darvish, he pitched brilliantly against this Rockies team last time out. Wasn't until the 6th inning until they got one on the board against him, although he left after 5 1/3. 7 straight no decisions for Yu Darvish. The market's not worried about a no decision here. They think the Cubs, the wise guys allude, I think the Cubs are live dogs in this one against Marquez, who looks perhaps suspect after that poor game last time out.
Yeah, interesting, too. That Sunday night team, a lot of people like to fade them coming off, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. So we'll keep an eye on that game tonight. Teddy, opening lines here for Game 7, even though it's not until Wednesday night. The Bruins, actually, as I was doing up the script, about 170 to 175, but as I'm checking SBRodds.com right now, Teddy, we're looking at more 160s, 165 ranges, and no surprise here. It's a 5.5 total. Some outlets even having a 5, but heavy juice, 145, 150 to the under. Teddy, when you look at these Game 7s here and we see those totals, we always think that less power plays, because the referees typically in hockey are going to say, you know what, let's just let these players go through. One team gets a power play. We know the other team's going to get one later in the game to try to even it up. Take a look at those other notes. Smart to do that, or do you have the flip side and saying, you know what, if one team is down 2-0 or 3-0 with 5 minutes to go, we might be looking at 3 or 4 minutes of a pulled goalie to try to get back into this one.
Well, that's that issue with the Game 7 is that they do pull goalies early in elimination games, and sometimes you have a dead nuts under, like last night's game, and then all of a sudden you're sitting there going, oh, my God, did I really just lose that? Because of the insanity of the last 5 minutes. So you can understand why there's juice to the under in this ball game. You can also understand why making that bet, especially after the money's already come in on the under, might not be your best wager. The market's clearly pricing Boston as, the team that, they're pricing St. Louis as a team that lost Game 6 at home and now has to go on the road and try to win. And obviously, that is a tough thing to do mentally and physically for the Blues. All that being said, if you've done nothing but play the dogs in every game this postseason, you have a winning straight-up record in the NHL. And they're all plus prices. So it has not been an NHL playoffs where laying any price with the favorite has been a positive expectation wager.
Teddy, Waka, Waka, Waka. No, it's not Fozzie Bear. It's Michael Waka on the mound for the Cardinals lining up tonight. And this is the second game we've seen, Teddy, coming off that Sunday night game where the team that played Sunday night is not getting faded, but it looks like they're getting some money on their edge. This Cardinals line is on the move on Monday. If we take a look right now, the Marlins are a plus 126. So that leads to that opening line around 120 to 125. Now sitting at 140, 138, 137 at different outlets out there. People backing Waka on the road versus Alcantara. And how about that tough loss by the Marlins yesterday? Let's see if they bounce back.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that little run for Miami where they played good ball for a couple of weeks, it seems to have come and gone. Yesterday with a 5-1 lead, 1 out, nobody on in the 9th. Ended up losing that game 7-6. But here's a generational divide, all right? Because you and I are both old guys now, but I'm a little bit older than you, Donnie. You go Waka, 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 and you're talking Fozzie Bear. I'm thinking Pac-Man, Waka, 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 like that's the noise that Pac-Man makes. So, for whatever it's worth, Fozzie Bear, and Pac-Man was ahead of Fozzie Bear. That shows that I'm a little bit older than you. Alcantara's been on a roll. His last 2 starts have been brilliant. What is he, about one earned run in 13 innings of work. Of course, the Cards know him. He was in their system, and he hasn't played particularly well against St. Louis in his career. But I don't know what to do with Waka. Look, the markets are saying he might be a bet-on starter here. This is a guy who lost his spot in the rotation, got lit up, repeatedly. His last start against the Royals was as bad as it gets. He pitched twice in relief after getting pulled from the rotation. One of them, he got absolutely bombed. 6 runs in an inning against the Phillies last Tuesday, 2 1/3 scoreless against the Reds. And, manager Mike Shildt, his velocity is up. His changeup is improved too. The markets look at those quotes. Lo and behold, a little bit of St. Louis money in this one.